Nottingham Forest have been given a 4-point deduction due to FFP breaches and now sit in the relegation zone of the Premier League. And of course, would be able to save them with Football Manager very easily with 10 games to go, just 1 point away from Luton. So I thought, why not relegate them down to the Championship and make this rebuild 100 times harder? The likes of Morgan Gibbs-White, Ibrahima Sangare, Joe Worrell are all going to be looking to leave the club, and we have to rebuild the mighty Forest from the ground up, starting in the Championship rather than the Premier League. So strap yourselves in, grab some popcorn, and we will rebuild Nottingham Forest from the Championship to the Champions League. This wage bill would be ridiculous compared to the Championship, and we'll actually try and see if we can compare the two. If we head to the team detailed stats, on salary per annum, we are on £71.79 million, whereas you head to the Championship, and Leicester, who have the most, of course, is only £52 million, and they've been said that they absolutely brought the league, and they're still trying to bottle it, which is hilarious. And we have £20 million more salary per annum than Leicester, who are absolutely mocked for how much money they've got in the Championship. So we're going to have to sell some players. There is a lot of players here which are way too good for the Championship, and of course we've not got that much money, and we're in massive debt because of this whole relegation, and it's not looking good. The debts alone is at 75 million with 70 million in transfer debt. Obviously they've just had an FFP breach, but if everything stayed the same, would be in massive FFP issues, massive squad issues, and I can't imagine this Forest team sticking together if they do get relegated. There has been about 40 signings in the last 2 seasons. A lot of them players have come to England to play in the Premier League, not playing the Championship away against QPR. So I suppose it's time to see if we can sell all these players. And that is exactly what I've done. Ibrahima Sangare has left to Al Hilal for 31 million. Morgan Gibbs-White to Al Ali for 22 million. Moussa Niakate has gone to Newcastle for 21 million. Callum Hudson-Odoi has left to RB Leipzig for 25 million. Odysseus Vlachodimos has left to TSG Hoffenheim for 16.5 million. Nico Williams has left to Schalke for 16.5 million. Orel Mangala has left to Bournemouth for 14 million. Matt Turner, thank God he's gone, has gone to Hoffenheim also for 12 million. They're taking both our keepers, which is very odd. Joe Worrell to Wolves for 10 million. Matt Sells to Stuttgart for 10 million. Scott McKenna to Al Shabab for 7.5 million. Ryan Yates to West Ham, 6.5 million. And a whole host of other players as well, including Emmanuel Dennis, Remo Frula, Ola Anana, Omar Richards, Richie Laya, John Shelby, Felipe, have all left the club, and we've raised £210 million in outgoings. It does mean we have now got £226 million in transfer budget and £1.3 million in wage budget. The only issue is our squad now looks like this. No right back, no left back. We do have a fantastic centre-back partnership in Omobamidele and Murillo. Both don't want to leave the club, and there's not a lot of interest in either of them as well. I am more than happy to keep both of them, as well as Danilo in DM. Also not a lot of interest and isn't pushing to leave the club. No other DM, no right wing, no cam. Left wing, Anthony Elanga staying at the club, which is fantastic. And up front is Taiwo Awoniyi is still at the club as well. No backup goalkeeper, no backup right back, 2 backup centre backs in Mbeso and Panzo, no backup left back, no backup DMs whatsoever. Josh Bowler as a backup winger with Alex Myton, no backup cam, and no backup striker. And I'm telling you, that is the whole squad. And it's to the point when the Championship predicts us to come down in 23rd position, because we literally don't have a team, and Anthony Elanga will be playing as our left back, and we wouldn't have a striker. So I think it's time to make some signings. But the key here for me is to not panic. I don't want to bring players in that are not going to be happy with in the Championship, and I do not want to spend all of that money because it's going to be quite handy because we're in massive debt, and I'd like to try and clear that as well. So number one signing is someone that's going to join in January this season is Ethan Mbappe. He is the cover star, and he joins on loan in January, and I'll be trying to buy him at the end of the season as well. His stats don't look fantastic, but this is my little project for this video as well. So you're going to have to stick around for the whole video to see how Ethan Mbappe progressive in this team, and we're locking him in CDM for all 5 seasons once he joins in January. So Ethan Mbappe, welcome to Nottingham Forest. You're going to become a superstar. I'm going to have our very own Mbappe at Forest, which is absolutely sick. A nice little mini story for the rebuild. Ethan Mbappe, welcome to the club. I'm going to quick fire through these signings because there is a lot, starting from highest to lowest. Jewison Bediete has joined from Sunderland for £13 million. Jade Megahoma has joined from Southampton for £9 million. Jayden Bogle has joined for Sheffield United for £9 million. Miles Pete Harris has joined from Brentford for £8.25 million. Ballymumba has joined from Plymouth for £6 million. Zach Swanson has joined from Portsmouth for £4.8 million. Tony Springett has joined from Norwich for £4.2 million. Sam Field has joined from Queen's Park Rangers for £2.5 million. Mika Biereth has joined from Arsenal for £1.9 million. Gabriel Vidovic from Bayern Munich for under £1 million is an absolute bargain, as is new goalkeeper Diego Romero from Universitato for £500,000, and Harvey Davies from Liverpool as our backup goalkeeper for £180,000. That leaves our current team looking like so: a whole lot less superstars, but a much better, well-rounded side. And more importantly, players that we know will be happy to be at the club in the Championship will be able to give enough passion to get us into the Premier League as well. So Romero in goal, Bogle and Mumba as the two wing-backs, with Omar-Bamadele and Murillo at centre-back, with Danilo and Sam Field in CDM, Jewison, Beniete and Elanga sharing the wings, with Miles Pete Harris in cam. The backups are Harvey Davies, Zach Swanson, Mbayaso, Panzo, Jayden Megahoma, Finback, Joe McDonnell, Tony Springett, Vidovic, Alex Myton and Micah Biereth. And we have obviously still got Josh Bowler here as well. Pretty more likely to play than Tony Springett, to be honest. A very well-rounded squad. It is nowhere near a star-studded, but I think we have solved a lot of issues. The wages are a hell of a lot better. Our most expensive one now is Jayden Bogle on £45,000, and it drops to Elanga on 25, same as Taiwo Awoniyi. So we've massively solved the wages issue, which I am very, very happy at. And can I just say a massive shout out as well to the legend who creates the TCS skins, because this skin is absolutely stunning. We have got the Space Ultimate Squad view on right now. So the nice little player faces, the player names, the star ratings, it all looks absolutely stunning. And you can see from the competition screen as well, this is a whole little boost. So I hope it looks a whole lot nicer for you guys. I'm aware FM isn't always the nicest game to look at, so having a skin like this makes a massive difference. So massive shout out to the legend who created the TCS skins. And we are now predicted to come in 12th. Now, I don't believe we're going to finish 12th. I think our squad is a hell of a lot better than that. I think our backline and goalkeeper is actually fantastic, as well as our 2 DMs. Going forward, a little bit worried. I'm hoping Elanga and Taiwo Awoniyi can carry us. It looks like Southampton did get promoted, so it was Leeds, Ipswich, and it was the other team, Leicester, that got promoted. Burnley down with us, and Sheffield United as well. It's going to be a tough old season to see if we can get promoted for the Championship this season. It is one of the hardest leagues in the game to get out of, but I'm hopeful we can do it. So let's get into our first season in the Championship. And well, we had a hell of a lot of brand new players coming into the club, but we managed to start the season in fantastic fashion with 5 wins in a row before a loss against Swansea, and September only had 1 loss in it to Bristol City. We beat the likes of Burnley, Coventry and Middlesbrough in the start of the season. We were looking like one of the best teams in the league. We go into October and a loss to Watford, but another 3 wins against Bolton, Birmingham and Millwall. We were looking fantastic, while November saw a loss to Norwich and a draw against Portsmouth before 3 back-to-back wins: 3-1 against Cardiff, 5-0 against Southampton and 4-0 against Derby, and an unbeaten December, including a 7-1 victory against West Brom, when we were looking like one of the best sides in the league. And well, we carried on because January was also brilliant with 3 wins in a row and a loss to Birmingham before a topsy-turvy February with 2 losses and 4 wins, but still looking like we were going to competing for the title. We just had to have a good finish to the season. It was us versus Southampton. Could we come out on top? Well, an unbeaten March, winning every single game, including a 7-0 victory against Portsmouth, an unbeaten April, winning every single game, bar 1 against Derby with a 2-2 draw, including a 4-2 win against Sunderland, and in the final day of the season against West Brom, a 3-1 victory. Goals from Jayden Bogle, Ballymumba and Taiwo Awoniyi managed to secure us the Championship table, ladies and gentlemen. A fantastic season, 111 points, 5 points clear of Norwich. It was actually Southampton that got promoted through the playoffs. I knew they were in my mind for a reason. They beat Burnley in the playoffs. So it's Forest, Norwich and Southampton going up. But you can see in terms of goals up here in the top right, it is a brand new position to make sure you're looking at. Gabriel Vidovic with 24 goals was fantastic. No one in the average ratings list, no one in the player of the matches, no one even in the clean sheets, and only Josh Bowler in the assists, who was also an absolute superstar this season. You check out this guy's stats, he is completely standard, completely average. 18 goals, 18 assists and a 7.3 average rating. He is very quick, he's got great dribbling, but I did not expect him to be this good, and he's now got a value of £30 million. Do we get rid of Josh Bowler? I think it's something to certainly consider, because that value is ridiculous, but what a season he has just had, and lovely to see as well. In terms of the other cards, Jonathan Panzo and Sam Field doing bits there as well. Classic Sam Field with 13 yellow cards, the absolute legend. In terms of the data hub, we were very good. We scored lots of goals, 2.78 goals per game, and conceded just 1 per game as well. And the only other thing I want to say in terms of the championship is the team detailed. Looking at our salary per annum, we were down in 7th place. So obviously we had a massive clear out from 72 million down to 23 million, which is very, very good. We're behind the likes of Middlesbrough, West Brom, Norwich, Sheffield United, Burnley and Southampton. Burnley, Sheffield United, West Brom and Middlesbrough all not getting promoted, and we finished above them while having a much less salary per annum. So very, very happy we managed to rebuild the squad with that as well. Quickly to touch on the Carabao Cup, we actually had a very good run in this one. Got all the way to the quarter-final. We sadly lost to Tottenham 4-2. But we were never expected to win that or the FA Cup, to be fair, in this season, obviously being in the Championship. We got 4th rounded by Stevenage, which is very, very annoying. I wish we didn't. I'd like to beat Stevenage, but it is what happens, and we are now in both competitions, and it wasn't the end of the world. And then we can concentrate on the league, and obviously it worked because we absolutely smashed it. In terms of goal this season, Gabriel Vidovic, 26 and 14 assists. Toa Awoniyi, 25 and 7. Josh Bowler, 18 and 18. Anthony Elanga, 16 and 9. Jaden Bogle scored 13 goals from right back with 10 assists. Our very own Savernier from Rangers. Miles Peets-Harris with 9 starts, 7 goals and 2 assists was great. Jewison Beniete, 6 and 7. Ballymumba, 6 and 11. And Sam Field, 5 and 10 as well. As well as 5 goals and 9 assists from Jonathan Panzo, which is very, very impressive. Our stand-up performer this season was Jaden Bogle on a 7.35 average rating. And the value of the squad is looking absolutely fantastic. But not only that, it's the age profile as well. The back line, which is all below 24 years of age. 2 DMs that are around 25 as well. Cam Vidovic is 21, Elanga 23, and obviously the likes of Taiwo Awoniyi at 27, Jewison Beniete at 20, Miles Peets-Harris at 22. Ethan Mbappe has now joined the club and is now to be locked in. He played 12 games second half of the season, 7 off the bench, a 6.88, which is actually very, very impressive, and his stats have gone up a fair bit as well. He's apparently only a decent League One player, potentially a Premier League player. I couldn't care less. He's Premier League from next season till the end of it. I want to see Ethan Mbappe in that French national team by the end of it. Can we get it? Let me know in the comments down below if you think we can get Ethan Mbappe to play in the French team with his brother by the end of season 5. Let me know down below if you think we can do that. I think there's a good chance, you know. Ethan's got good potential. Obviously not quite as good as his brother, but hopefully we can get him somewhere near that and playing in that beautiful DM position as well. Obviously, money-wise, we've got quite a lot in the bank, £45 million and £500,000 in wage budget, which is fantastic. And obviously, actually, the money actually in the bank rather than just the transfer business, 95 million, which is brilliant. I'm very happy the fact we have managed to salvage the absolute mess that it was at the start here and get lots of money in the bank, clear all of the net debt and most of the transfer debt as well. So we're heading into the Premier League with a brand new clean slate. This is how Forest should have done it. They should have kept the players they got promoted with rather than signing 25 players in that first window and then by just surviving signing another 20 players as well. Mind boggles me, but it is what they've done and it's time for season 2, so let's get right into it. Only one person ended up leaving the club this summer and it was Lewis O'Brien. He played just 6 games last season. I actually think he was on loan at Bournemouth and didn't even play for us. So we sold him and he's gone for £5.5 million to Bournemouth again, which is absolutely fine by me. He can go and be a backup there and he's not going to get into our team. So we can move on to our superstar new signings that I'm very excited to welcome. Joris Chotard for £18.25 million from Montpellier. Thiago Santos from Lille for £10.5 million. Someone that I'm very excited about in Jaden Philizonje from Hull for £19.75 million. I wanted to bring him in last summer, but it was just so difficult to get him in. He's got fantastic dribbling flair and acceleration and pace. He was passionate about staying at Hull last season. We get promoted to the Premier League, and of course he's down to come here, but he's consistent. He loves big matches, and I'm hoping he is going to be very good on this new updated match engine as well, because he looked absolutely brilliant. Obviously, Ethan Mbappe has signed for £1 million as well, and we only signed one other player, and is our brand new striker to compete with Taiwo Awoniyi. It is Nicolas Trezeguet Gudil. This guy is a fantastic wonder kid signed from Hanover for just £7.25 million. Very well rounded, great finishing, composure, determination and pace. 6 foot tall, both footed, under 21 international for Italy and very consistent. I think this guy could be an absolute bargsman pretty much wherever he plays. Also bargsman, I've never said that in my life. I mean bagsman. He's an absolute bagsman, Nico Troseldi, not a bargsman. And now we look at the team. It is Diego Romero in goal, Bogle, Omabamidele, Murillo and Ballymunba as the back five. Danilo and Ethan Mbappe as the two DMs with Philipponje, Vidovic, Elanga and Trezodlil up front. And the backups looking like Davies, Santos and Bayaso, Panzo, Megahoma, Field, Shotard, Bowler, Pert Harris, Benanete and Wonyi. While also keeping Finn back, Swanson, Tony Springett and Mike Abirov also at the club as well as good rotational options. As mentioned, Mbappe will be locked in that DM position and playing in every single game. So hopefully we can see him grow a hell of a lot. Keep a check on these stats. Also, we can click things like this now, can't we? Oh, that looks very nice indeed. We can see all the stats at a click of a button. Good job, skin creators. It looks absolutely beautiful. We'll check back at the end of this video because his stats are going to be mental, as well as this guy as well. Vidovic has grown so well. His finishing, flair, composure and pace at just sort of 21 years of age to have the season he just had in the championship. I've got high hopes of Vidovic. I think he could be an absolute superstar. Remember, £975,000 is all we spent on him. Now, obviously the Premier League is going to look down upon us. We've got a very young squad. We are least favourites to win the league at 600 to 1 with Southampton level with us and Norwich just above. Obviously, I think we're going to be better than that. I think we can come around this 17th to 13th. Obviously, where Forest have been finishing in real life. I think this season, that is the aim. We're not going to be aiming for top half just yet. The end of this rebuild, I want a European trophy and to qualify for the Champions League. So make sure to stick around to see if we can do that one. I think it's possible. We've just got to make sure we can get there. Let's get into the results of Season 2. Well, that was a nice little wake-up call to start the league. Spurs, Manchester City and Leeds. 3 losses in a row. I'd like to think we've done better at Leeds, especially at home, but sadly not. And 3 losses to kick off our Premier League campaign before 3 games without losing in September. A victory against Wolves, a victory against Brighton, and a draw to Bournemouth. A fantastic September before quite a negative October with losses against Brentford, Newcastle, and then a win against Aston Villa. You can tell exactly how the season is going to go. Ups and downs constantly. A 5-2 loss to Crystal Palace, a 2-0 victory against Southampton, losses to Fulham and Everton, a 2-1 victory against Arsenal. I can't explain it either. That's the beauty of the Premier League. A loss to Manchester United, a win against Norwich, a draw against West Ham, losses to Chelsea and Liverpool, finished off the first half of the season. A very up and down time and left us just above the relegation zone. But lucky for us, it was last season's striker Taiwo Awoniyi who was the superstar of the first half of the season, who he pretty much put his team on the back, just under double-figure goals in the start of the season. He was absolutely fantastic with crucial goals against the likes of Aston Villa and obviously in that heavy victory against Brighton as well, the brace. That was absolutely fantastic. We managed to keep hold of him in January as well, but we did have 2 big losses instantly, a 5-0 against Manchester City and then 4-2 against Spurs. We then drew to Leeds, beat Wolves and lost to Bournemouth for a great February. Just a loss against Brighton, but victories against Brentford, Aston Villa and a draw against Newcastle before victories against Palace and Southampton pretty much meant we were going to be safe in this Premier League season. And the unbeaten run kept on going as well, as a further 3 games without a loss before a 4-0 battering against Manchester United, a draw against Norwich, a win against Chelsea, and finishing the season with 2 back-to-back 3-1 losses to Chelsea and Liverpool meant we were going to be safe in the Premier League by quite some distance. I mentioned the 12th to 17th place where I wanted to finish, and we finished in 13th, 46 points, a -9 goal difference to be expected, but we are safe, as are Southampton, who come up with us, but for Norwich, who come up with us as well, have been relegated with Fulham and Wolves. Manchester City have won the league. Surprise. I mean, they always win the league. And Haaland scored 38 goals. I mean, the guy's just an absolute joke, isn't he? And Manchester City are an absolute joke in general. We've got absolutely no one on this list at all, which I'm not expecting at all. We've got a very young squad and we're in the bottom half of the Premier League by quite some distance, 10 points away from sitting in 10th. So a lot of work is to be done to get players in them goal scoring, average rating, clean sheets, play the matches, and obviously not really going to touch on this either because we were joint 6th on goals scored but conceded way too many. Possession wise we're not there either, and points per game, of course, we are nowhere to be seen. The actual data hub conceding just way too many goals was our problem this season. It's probably because I didn't really realise how bad of a goalkeeper Diego Romero actually was. His stats were very good last season. I just assumed he'd be fantastic this season. Yeah, not at all. He cost us £500,000, which was great, but 76 games and 99 conceded. He had a great season in the Championship, so if you're looking for a Championship keeper, this could be your guy. Just be aware, if you move up to the Premier League, he is not your guy. He is not fantastic, and I am glad to be moving away from him. It is a brand new goalkeeper that is very much needed this season. In terms of goals this season, it was Taiwo Awoniyi, with Vidovic also scoring 10 as well, now 22 years of age and an absolute superstar. Very happy to have him. Elango of 9 and 6 and above a 7 average rating also is fantastic. Trezeguet 8 and 3 in his first season in the Premier League, brilliant. Jadon Filonge with 6 and 4 is a little bit disappointing, I'm not going to lie. I'd expected a bit more from him. We spent a lot of money on him, £20 million, and he didn't really drop the greatest of seasons. I want to keep the experiment going because I want him to be good, and I want to believe that he can become a Premier League player, but that first season in the Premier League does not fill me with a whole host of confidence. What does fill me with very good confidence is Ethan Mbappe, 40 games, and look at the progression. He looks absolutely brilliant. 19 years of age, now 3 caps under 21 level, so maybe we're going to get somewhere. He's going to be on loan by the likes of Birmingham, Bolton, Plymouth. I can't imagine Mbappe at Plymouth. I don't know about you, but I think Forest suits him a hell of a lot more. So we're going to be keeping him around as our DM next to Shotard or Danilo. Another £43 million to spend this summer, as well as £40,000 in wages. And balance-wise, yeah, that Premier League is difficult to keep up in, but we are doing well. No debt whatsoever. There's 10 million left in transfer debt. We need to get into Europe, really, don't we? So we can get that money back into the club. That is the ideal goal. And of course, as well, we're going to be trying to improve this club info screen. That youth recruitment is absolutely diabolical. So for the start of this rebuild, we've seen no wonder kids come through whatsoever, because this is shocking. So every season I'm asking for all 3 of these to be improved, mainly this one, because I need a better youth recruitment, and right now it is not the one. Let's get into the signings for season 3. So signing 1 is that brand new goalkeeper, Jonas Erbig. He was in my wonder kids list for brand new goalkeepers that have burst onto the scene through this winter update from VFL Bochum. He looks absolutely brilliant, and I'm very excited to see what he can do in goal for us, and cost us just £10 million. And another German in Luke Netz coming in at left back for £15 million. For Adam Hlojek was on the transfer list for Bayer Leverkusen for £3.6 million. Is that mental? Because that to me seems absolutely crazy, and he is an absolute superstar. In terms of overcomings, 2 centre-backs have come in. Charlie Creswell from Leeds for £14.5 million, and Callum Doyle, another one from that wonder kids list from Manchester City, an absolute bargain price of £6 million. This guy is an absolute superstar, and it has one of the best potentials on the game. And the English tax at the start after a season in Leicester is normally like £40 million of spending him. No, he's a bargain. He's basically free at £6 million, and he's going to come straight into this team as well. Starting as our superstar left back is Erbing in goal, Bogle, Omobamidele, Murillo, Doyle, Mbappe, Shotard, that nice little French DM partnership with Elanga, Filonge, Vidovic and Trezeguet up front. I'm very excited for season number 3. I think we can make big strides. I think we've sort of really secured that back lineup, which is brilliant. Basically, having a very defensive left back on that left-hand side is going to be key to keeping this a much tighter season. I think we can do it though. Let's get into season 3. Well, there was no messing about there at all. That is the quickest season I've ever done in my life. But one thing I do want to quickly do is a massive thank you to the legends on Patreon right now. You guys are absolute legends and help support me in ways you cannot imagine. It costs £5 a month, but you do get all the rebuild files. So if you wanted Forest in the Championship, the start of season 1 will be there before the transfers. I'll put that all on the Discord, the Patreon for you, as well as the end of season 5 as well. So wherever we end up with that fantastic Ethan Mbappe, you can pick up from there. And it's not only them, it's all the Moneyball rebuilds, the Partizan one, the Copenhagen one, the West Ham cheap versus expensive rebuilds are all available on Patreon for a nice little £5 a month, and it helps support me a ridiculous amount. So massive thank you to the legends that haven't run down the screen. If you do want to help support, the link is at the very top of the description. Click that, it will take you there. And if you want to support in any other way, £2 a month as well, you can do, and it helps again absolutely massively. That is all down there. Now we can get into season 3. You didn't think it would be that quick, did you? What a start to the season. A 2-1 victory against Manchester United, with a goal from Anthony Elanga gets us off to a fantastic start before a loss to Burnley, a win to Southampton and a loss to Brighton, and a winless September means we were sitting down just above the relegation zone to kick the season off after a brilliant start. October However, things did take a turn for the better. We may have lost to Aston Villa, but wins against Leicester, Brentford, and then a win against Chelsea at the start of November when things were on the up. 3 games without a win against Spurs, Everton and Manchester City before back-to-back 5-goal scored against Sheffield United and Newcastle, 4 losses against Nottm, Leeds and Liverpool, but in the middle a win against Arsenal when the first half of the season was done and things were looking very good. We then beat Burnley 1-0 at the start of January before a loss to Manchester United in the away leg at Old Trafford, beating Brighton and Southampton for losses against Bournemouth and West Ham. A fantastic February of 3 wins out of 4, 1 win out of 2 in March with 2 wins out of 4 in April, and after a 6-1 loss against Arsenal, a 4-1 victory against Liverpool on the final day of the season secured us, ladies and gentlemen, the big green competition. You know I love the Europa Conference League, and I tell you what, it's something we can certainly go ahead and win as well. 59 points, 38 games, 18 wins, 5 draws and 15 losses. A positive goal difference in our second season. Something Forest haven't managed to do since they have been in the Premier League is get promoted, stay up like we did in season 1, and then season 2 progress. That has not happened this season. In fact, they've got a points deduction and might get relegated. So it's been an absolute stinker, but we have managed to turn things around for Forest. Sold all the players that don't want to be there, brought in some superstars that want to fight for the badge, and we have got Forest, not Champions League football just yet, crikey. UEFA Conference League football on 59 points, just 3 away from the Europa League as well. But to be honest, I'd rather be in the green one. I love the green competition. You guys know I love it. Relegated is Sheffield United on 19 points. Brighton on 31 have had an absolute fall off, and Leicester on 32 points, and league winners is Tottenham Hotspur. And since the winter update, Tottenham Hotspur seem to be one of the best teams in the Premier League. They are simply ridiculous. Yet again, we've got no one in this list up here, which again I'm not really too shocked at. I'd like to see a striker in this. Nketiah and Solanke, playing for Brentford and Bournemouth respectively, are both in this. We should be competing with that, but sadly not. One thing that's hilarious, City have had an absolute fall off, 68 points, and Haaland just 22 goals. And they signed Musiala. Hang on a minute, what is this Manchester City team cooking? Is Pep in charge? Pep's been sacked. That's fantastic. Brits in goal. Who is Spike Brits? What is a Spike Brits? Who knows? He's played 5 games to get 8 goals. He's washed. John Stones, Diaz, Gvardiol, Ake, Rodri, De Bruyne, Foden, Musiala, Silva and Haaland. Wowzers, that is quite a good little team. They've got Naipan as well. City are set for the future. We're absolutely mudded. That's something we can't go ahead and get. Quickly to touch on the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, and we didn't touch on it last season as well because it was the exact same as this season. Stinky. 4th round in the FA Cup, 4th round in the Carabao Cup, losing to Liverpool and Leeds. 2 teams I'd like to think we should be able to beat, but sadly we didn't. In terms of finances, £93 million in the bank now, £75 million in transfer budget, and £600,000 in wage budget. Things are looking good. We have got a lot more money, and it's now time to take that next step because this team has done very well. We are looking very good. And Nico Trossardil with 18 goals and 5 assists, as well as James McAtee, who I forgot to tell you about. We did sign a free contract for Manchester City. He got 11 goals and 2 assists and was absolutely brilliant. I did not expect this guy to cook for us to the point where I even forgot about him completely. But 11 goals and 2 assists, fantastic. Great free signing for Manchester City. Obviously with that Callum Doyle signing as well for £6 million. An absolute bargain. He got 9 goals and 10 assists. Elanga 9 and 10. Fellaini 6 and 10. A bit of a better season. And Ethan Mbappe this season 5 and 6 and a 6.85. Things are looking good for Ethan. He's looking like a superstar. Now 9 caps in 21s. We're getting closer to that French call-up. Jayden Bogle 3 and 4. Joris Chattard 2 goals. Slojek 2 and 1 in 11 starts and 20 for the bench is absolutely shocking. That 3.6 million has been robbed off of us. And someone else I forgot to mention as well. If I'm honest, the save file was a little bit bugged from season 3, so it's my fault that I had to try and remember off the top of my head. I do apologise. We also signed Matthias Goncalves for £10 million. This guy was very good, looked very good. He has fantastic physicals, flair and dribbling. This season he wasn't fantastic. 21 off the bench, 2 starts. Also, this guy reminds me, I think a few years ago he was the go-to wonder kid, whereas now he's just been replaced with the likes of Endrick, Loran, Luis Guilherme, all them sorts of players. I think he's been forgotten about, but I don't know if it's the winter update, but he has had quite a big boost. He looks very, very good, and I was excited to sign him in. He's not been great, but maybe you never know. He could turn into a fantastic, obviously from Flamengo as well. So a very, very good signing. I'm happy to bring him in. But that is it in terms of signings. That is it in terms of this season. £75 million in the bank, like I said. We've got to make big strides. We're in Europe next season. It means the whole squad has to improve. We can't just rely on a good starting 11. It's got to be good backups. Got to be good reserves. We've got to have a 26-man squad that can go to absolute war. So who can we bring in? First of all, it's time to cut some losses on some players. So Taiwo Awoniyi has left to Fulham for £36 million. Jonathan Panzo, who has progressed very well, has left to Al Ali for £28 million. And he wasn't the only one heading there as well, as Ballymumba went there for 14 and Zach Swanson for £600,000. And a bit of a shock sale in Gabriel Vidovic, who has left to Augsburg. Last season, he hardly played and has regressed quite a bit, actually. So £4.5 million is quite good to sell, I would say, if you're using Gabriel Vidovic, a top-class championship player, a good player to keep you in the Premier League. Anything past that, I wouldn't go ahead and use him. And Charlie Creswell as well, who we signed for £14 million, we signed for 800k to Bristol City because he was absolutely horrendous and didn't grow and wanted to leave the club, and he didn't progress at all. So an awful piece of business for myself. But we move, and it was time for just 2 brand new signings. And yes, they're big ones. Arda Güler has joined the club. This guy is a superstar. He has not got his career going just yet on FM for Real Madrid. Hardly played a single game in 3 years. It's time for that to change. He's the cover star for a reason. This guy's potential in real life is unlike any other. He looks absolutely brilliant, and he could be a superstar. So we're going to be using him as a right inside forward on support, using that brilliant crossing, first touch, long shots, passing, technique, vision, flair, and determination to be a superstar. And supplying our brand new cam, who is even more expensive and even more of a wonder kid, is Kenan Yildiz. 2 Turkish wonder kids joining the club, and this guy, wowzers. Great dribbling finish, first touch, composure, flair, determination, and pace, and a level above someone like Gabriel Vidovic. He was expensive at £45 million overall, but when you look at the team and you look at the improvements, just them two has made the overall starting 11. Urbig in goal, Bogle, Doyle as the 2 wing-backs with Murillo and Omar with Shotard and Mbappe in DM, Güler, Elanga, Yildiz, and Trezeldil as our front 4. I'm butchering that name every single time. Trezeldil? Let me know. Trezeldil. We're going to go with Trezeldil. I guarantee I won't say that next time it comes up. Higgins in goal, Santos, Mega Homer, Smith, and Lucanets in the back 4 as the backup. So Danilo and McAtee, Matias Goncalves, Slojek, Jadon Philipponje, and Aaron Kelly, who is our first player through the academy. That doesn't look absolutely awful, and to be honest, has quite good potential. I just don't see him playing many games. With the sort of front 4 we've got, with Kenan Yildiz also being able to play at striker, we decided to bring someone in who could potentially play in that role, as well as also having Adam Plojek on the bench as well. Obviously this season, Conference League, FA Cup and Carabao Cup, the Premier League are predicting us to now finish in 16th place rather than the relegation zones, which is brilliant. But again, we're much better than that. We know we're much better than that. So let's get into season 4. Well, it always seems to go this way with an incredibly tough start to the season. This time, our first 5 games, Manchester City, Chelsea, Liverpool, Brentford and Spurs, and then Manchester United, and then Arsenal. We had the whole Big 6 in our first 8 games of the season. Absolutely ridiculous, but luckily the morale wasn't shot to pieces because we beat Fulham, lost to Everton, then went on a run, beat Blackburn, drew to Bournemouth, beat Wolves, beat Villa, beat West Ham, beat Burnley, lost to Southampton and Newcastle before a 6-0 win against Leeds and a 5-0 win against Crystal Palace. And I tell you what, Kenan Yildiz was our superstar for the first half of the season. And I said this guy was going to be good. He has now got a value of over £70 million. His finishing is outrageous. You can see some of the goals he has scored. Massive goals in them 2 games, as well as scoring for the whole of the season. He has been an absolute superstar. But somehow, after a fantastic December and 6-0 and 5-0 against Leeds and Palace, we go into January and lose to City, Arsenal, draw to Liverpool and draw to Chelsea, and have that ridiculous run of games again. Beat Brentford, draw to Spurs, and then lose to Manchester United. But luckily all them games are out of the way and we can get back to playing the minnows of the league. Beating Fulham, beating Everton, beating Blackburn, drawing to Bournemouth, beating Wolves, losing to Villa, but beating West Ham, Burnley and Southampton. A loss to Newcastle before finishing the season not quite with 6-0 and 5-0, but 2-0 and 3-0 against Crystal Palace. It was a fantastic end to the season, and we really showed this season we could beat anyone around us, anyone, you know, lower than us sort of competition wise we could get good results against, just nowhere near the teams above us. But it showed we could fight in the Premier League, and finishing in 7th place and securing Europa League football next season was the 3-1. In fact, topping the form charts down here is brilliant. And we even had our very own top goal scorer this season. Nicolo Tresoldi was absolutely fantastic, scoring 35 goals overall, including 11 in the Conference League, which we will get to in just a minute's time. But 21 goals in 28 starts in the Premier League, securing that Premier League Golden Boot. And now a cap for Italy as well. Big up Nicolo, a superstar who has now got a value of £95 million and is wanted by Palace, Everton and Leeds. They can't afford him and he'll be staying at the club. A fantastic signing. Remember, a signing for just £8 million a few seasons ago has scored, 42 goals in the Premier League in 3 seasons. That's pretty good if you ask me for a 20 to 23-year-old. He has absolutely gone ahead and smashed it. In terms of team overview stats, we are third in the most goals scored. We're an entertaining team to watch because we concede lots, but as long as we score lots, it's very, very fun. Possession-wise, we're a counter-attacking side as well, so don't expect us to ever see us on there. But points per game, we were also probably down here in 7th-ish, just below these lot. But a very, very good season and one I'm very, very proud of. I'm very happy to say we are in the Europa League for the final season in this rebuild. But this season was, of course, all about the Conference League, and we had to qualify, beating Zilnia 2 games in a row, 1-0, with a goal from Ethan Mbappe as well, which is brilliant. Before our 6 games in the league phase, a 3-2 win against Jewel Gardens, a 2-0 against Budkenost, a 2-0 against Viking, a 2-1 against Nottm, a 2-0 against Rennes, and a 4-0 against Universidad meant we were top of the Europa Conference League. We had qualified for the knockout stages, and it was Rennes we were facing in the round of 16. And while that might seem like an easy task, believe me, it is not. We got off to a good start, 35 minutes in, with Tresoldi with the goal, but in the 92nd minute away from home, that Rennes fan base drawed a goal in, and Erbig couldn't save the shot from Ryder. And it was 1-0 in the first leg, which set up a very difficult second leg. At home, it was going to be difficult, but the City ground was, of course, rocking. And if we could win this one, we through to the quarterfinals in a European competition. So Jaden Bergel drove inside and found Luca Net sitting a left back. And ladies and gentlemen, what a screamer that is. 19 minutes in, we go 1-0 up, but Rennes were not finished. That goal scorer, Reader, finds the ball into the box, and a deflected header from Bade ends up in the back of the net. And the 94th minute, just like they got their late goal, we're going to go ahead and get our own as well, with Nicolo Tresoldi scoring to make it 2-1 the 94th minute and 3-2 aggregate. And we're going to the quarterfinals with the skin of our teeth, and we were facing up against giants, well, Viking giants, should I say, which is, of course, going to be great fun. Ethan Mbappe finds Luca Net on the left-hand side. He finds the ball into the box, and Amundsen deflects it into his own net to make it 1-0 in just 3 minutes. And that sort of sets the tone for the rest of how this tie is going to go. A ball in from Jaden Bogle to find Anthony Elanga at the back stick, scoring on the European stage again. A ball from Doyle into Mbappe. It's very weird seeing Mbappe and not being a little fast man up front who's going to score lots and lots of goals, but a creative central defensive midfielder who is an absolute rock. It's just odd to see, but it's very fun as well to have Ethan Mbappe in the game. Mbappe's little brother. How awesome is that? That is 3-1, by the way, if you've lost track. Ethan Mbappe now on the ball again does find Luca Net to find Arda Güler to make it 4-1 just before half-time. That was as well before a fifth is going to come just at the 75th minute, with Jaden Bogle find a ball into Nicolo Tresoldi to make it 5-1, and an emphatic first game, an emphatic victory there. Sets up, obviously, the away leg against Viking, and you can imagine how this went. Not quite a 5-1 victory, but it was a very good performance and a 1-1 draw, and it set up a semi-final this time. We're through the round of 16. We're through the quarterfinals. We beat Vikinger on 6-2 aggregate, and we are up against FK Austria Vienna, which I have to say again, with the competition we face every week in the Premier League, this isn't the hardest of games. Callum Doyle finds Kenyan Yildiz to make it 1-0 in 9 minutes, and an Arda Güler free kick in 34 finds James McAtee. No, it doesn't. It finds Murillo at the back post to make it 2-0 before an Arda Güler ball into Shotard to Arda Güler again out on that right-hand side. He cuts in, scores an absolute screamer. It's 3-0 before half-time, and it wasn't until the 89th minute we saw anything from Austria Vienna. A ball into Arweiler, a great cutting effort past Jonas Erbing, makes it 3-1, but a fairly convincing victory, and the stats-wise show that as well. 25 shots to their 3 meant I was pretty confident that we were going to be able to keep hold of this lead. However, they made it just a 1-goal game after 11 minutes as Pajarek whips the ball into Arweiler at the back stick. which made it a nervy game. It wasn't until the 89th minute we saw anything from our boys. A very quiet game, but a James McAtee ball into Luca Nets makes it 4-2 aggregate, puts the game to bed, and of course at this point they are absolutely going for it. So we're going to go ahead and make it 5-2 aggregate. Arda Güler is there to put it in from the post, and the quality that Güler and Yildiz both brings us carried us through that Europa Conference League stage to make us into the final. And this game again wasn't going to be too difficult. We played them in the league phase and beat them 3-2. Any guesses? How good's your memory? It's Djurgårdens IF, I believe, from Sweden. And we're going to go ahead and get started with Shotard on the ball, driving down the right-hand side. He finds Jaden Bogle, who sets the ball into Nikola Tresdal to make it 1-0 in 55 minutes. Jaden Bogle then throws it into Arda Güler. He takes a touch, whips it into James McAtee to make it 2-0 on the hour mark. And a corner ball from Kenyan Yildiz finds Murillo at the back stick in the 85th minute to make it 3-0. And Forest are Europa Conference League winners. I should sound a lot more excited, but it sounded way too easy. The teams we faced were not the teams you see in the Conference League today. It was when we faced against Djurgårdens, who, respect them, are a decent side, Austria Vienna and Viking from the quarterfinals onwards. Rennes was our hardest game, and that was the round of 16. So I think we got quite a favourable draw, but it doesn't matter. Forest are European champions again, and an unknown fact, well, not an unknown fact, but a fact a lot of people don't know about Forest is they have won the Champions League. So for season 5, it fits. We're going to be in the Champions League, which is great fun. Hang on, no we're not. We're in the Europa League for season 5, and if we win the Europa League or get into the top 5, it'll be available for Patreon on you guys to go ahead and get into the Champions League. Can we secure Champions League football for the end of the rebuild? That is the goal, not to be in the Champions League now, because we ain't going to be able to win it, and I'm not going to sit here for another 5 seasons and try and win it, because that gives you guys a bit of a task to go ahead and do as well, which I'm excited about. We have got lots of money, £60 million and 60k in wage budget as well, and finances wise we are back in the positive, and I imagine now we're in the Europa League, that's going to continue to skyrocket up, which is absolutely brilliant. Club info wise, they have improved the youth facilities to 4-star rather than being 3-star, but the youth recruitment is still 1-star, so without getting anything there, it is absolutely pointless. There is also rumours of a brand new board takeover, so we'll make sure to keep an eye on that one. But let's get into the signings for our final season, season 5. Well, clearing Deadwood out, Thiago Santos has left to Al Jazeera for £16 million, with Danilo leaving to Al Nassr for £34 million. He has been brilliant, and obviously has stayed from the start as well, which you have to take your hats off to, but 34 million quid going over to Saudi, fair enough. Matis Goncalves, we're going to cut our losses for 7 million quid to Glumich and Gladbach. And Adam Hojek, we signed for 3.6 million, done nothing for 3 seasons, but sold for 9.25 to Damak. So business genius? Yeah, I think so. Some 5 signings have come in, and Luca Montanaro is our first one, a young regen centre-back who looks absolutely ridiculous. Great determination, the holy trinity of great heading, tackling and marking, with great teamwork and physical attributes as well. A bargain for just £9 million. Joe Scally has joined the club from Gladbach for £24 million. We all know who this guy is. Can play either wing back, very good right-footed and left-footed, very determined, great pace, and obviously great defensively as well, but also going forward is brilliant, has been brilliant for Gladbach. A brand new winger in Antonio Nusa. This guy's got great flair, physical attributes, dribbling, first touch, crossing, the whole shebang really, and is an absolute bargain really. He looks very good with great potential. £36 million I think is still quite cheap, and a signing which has been killing the Premier League this season at Brighton, but for some reason has gone to Hull in this rebuild, is Simon Adingra. He has not had the boost that I thought he might have, but still his stats look very, very good, with fantastic acceleration, pace, flair and dribbling. This guy can be a very aggressive winger, but can also play up front, and as we do have an advanced sword up front, I think this guy with his great dribbling, finishing and pace could be fantastic. And again, not too bad, £25 million. And finally, it's a wonder kid DM in William Clem. This guy's very well rounded, pretty much blues in every single stat you would ever want, and it's consistent and loves big matches, and cost us £5.5 million. So happy to bring him in as well, and it means the team is looking like so, with Urbig in goal, Scally, Omabamadele, Murillo and Nets, the back 5, and Mbappe and Shotard still keeping that DM nice and strong, with Arda Güler, Nusa, Kenyan Yildiz and Tresdal up front, with the backups looking like Higgins, Bogle, Smith, Montanaro, Doyle, David Hoey, William Clem, Philip Onge, James McAtee, Alanga, Adingra, Gavin Flynn, Mega Homer, Troy Griffin and Anthony Richards. There is a few wonder kids in here that has come through the academy, like Richards, Griffin, Flynn, I believe Hoey is, as well as is Smith. So all wonder kids that are slowly coming through the academy. We have managed to sort of keep this 4-star youth facilities, which is very good, but we are now up to 4-star rep, which is brilliant. But it's really time to get into season 5 and season see if we can win the Europa League, or if we can get top 5 in the Premier League, secure Champions League football for the end of the rebuild, and fully take Forest from the Championship to the Champions League in just 5 years. So the Premier League season started away against Aston Villa and a 3-2 loss for a 4-2 loss against Manchester United, but lucky for us, we had a nice upturn in form. Victories against Everton and Sunderland before a pretty expected loss to Arsenal, before victories against Chelsea, Bournemouth, Manchester City, draws against Liverpool and Newcastle, a loss to Spurs, draws against Palace, and then an unbeaten winning run against Palace, Norwich, West Ham, Burnley, Leeds, Arsenal, a draw against Leicester, a victory against Brentford, and then finishing the 2028 season, year off with a loss against Manchester United. And it was Arda Güler for the first half of the season, which has progressed massively. Obviously now as a first team player, rather than doing nothing for Real Madrid for 6 years, he has grown massively in terms of his stats, and he has scored some all-important goals in massive games and was obviously pivotal in that winning victory run from the end of November to the middle of December. A fantastic signing and an absolute bargain for 20 million quid. We're set up to go into January with 3 wins in a row: Aston Villa, Everton and Sunderland, before then a bit of a down-spelling form. A 2-1 loss against Chelsea, a 7-1 victory against Bournemouth, and then loose losses against City, Liverpool, Newcastle, Spurs, Crystal Palace and the draw against Southampton, before 5 wins in a row against Norwich, West Ham, Burnley, Leeds and Leicester, and then a 4-3 loss against Brentford on the final day of the season. Does that mean we have secured Champions League football? We have to wait and see, because first of all is the Carabao Cup, and we beat Middlesbrough 3-0 in the first leg, then to beat Barnsley in the second round and Brentford in the third round on penalties, before beating Manchester United, drawing against Manchester United in the first leg in the semi-final, and then losing 5-3 in the second leg of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. But getting all the way to the semis is absolutely fantastic. Some good victories in there, just sadly falling short at the last leg to a very, very good Manchester United team. Karim Konate, Kefren Turam, Rasmus Højlund and Yanan Oral Bisek are the goal scorers. 3 goals there coming from corners as well, which is very, very infuriating, but a very, very good season nonetheless in the Carabao Cup. And it wasn't the only cup we had a good run in, because the FA Cup, we also managed to beat Bolton and Fulham in the first 2 rounds, then beat Middlesbrough in this as well, beat Ipswich in the quarterfinals, and set up a semi-finals against Newcastle. And it's games like this which show exactly what the FA Cup is all about. Just like that Manchester United victory over Liverpool, I had to get it in there, you're right. An early goal for Newcastle before a goal from us just 1 minute later, and then 1 minute later on from that, Luca Net drives down the left-hand side to find Philip J to find Tresdal in the centre to make it 2-1 to Nottingham Forest to kick this game off. But Newcastle are going to fight back. Kone finds Isak finishes past Irving to make it 2-2, and just 10 minutes later, Vanderson on the ball finds Bruno Guimaraes to find Luka Sukic, who is an absolute baller, and he makes it 3-2 Newcastle. And you start to think, surely not, you're not brought us all the way here to get us out. Well, no, I haven't, because Jayden Bogle finds a ball into the box to Antonio Nusa in the 94th minute to make us 3-0 and going to extra time. And in the 119th minute, an awful defensive mistake, a fantastic finish from Nicola Tresdal makes us 4-3 winners in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. It's not the final just yet. That, ladies and gentlemen, is up against Liverpool. A 3-2 victory, a fantastic performance, and Forest are major cup winners yet again. The Conference League last season, the FA Cup this season. The question is, could we add the Europa League to that as well? Well, it started off in emphatic fashion. Victories against Partizan and Sepsi before a loss against Stuttgart, but then victories against Feyenoord, Slovia Bratislava, Reims, Genk and Ajax when we were finishing in the top 8 of the Europa League. Which of course fast tracks us to the round of 16 where we faced up against KRC Genk from Belgium, and my god did they shock us. In 36 minutes they go 1-0 up and away from home. In the 85th minute it took us a long time to get going, but balling behind to that man James McAtee, one of the best free agent signings I've ever seen. He makes it 1-0, and James McAtee has come up clutch in many big moments, and he's doing brilliant here again today at the City ground in a fantastic victory which did secure us quarter-final football. A awful defensive there from Cartson with a deflection off Quest makes it 1-0 to us, but they're going to keep things nice and tight, keeping it as 2-2 on aggregate as Duper finds the left-hand side top corner and finishes past Jonas Irving. Jayden Bogle then in the 73rd minute, again took us a long time to get clear in this game, finds Hoey a ball in the box, and McAtee is there to find the top corner. A thundering effort in off the crossbar, but Marilo ball to Elanga really killed this game off. He's going to fill in a ball in the back of the net to Trezeldil, who does make it 3-1 in aggregate, well 4-2 in aggregate it, and 3-1 on the night. A dominating victory, and we are through to the quarterfinals, and it was FC Midtjylland that stood in our way. And well, for this time, I'm not going to waste your time too much showing you loads of different highlights. It was a 3-0 victory with goals from Ethan Mbappe, William Clem and Nicolo Trezeguet, setting up a very mundane game in the Arena Park away against FC Midtjylland, already with a 3-goal sort of lead. It was a 3-2 victory here as well, with goals from Yildiz, Bogle and Simon Adinkra, and we were into the semi-finals, and this is where it gets difficult because we're playing the mighty Celtic. And the first leg was at Celtic Park as well, but luckily we managed to silence them in the 76th minute in just a 1-0 victory. Jadon Philibonje finding the bottom corner, a fantastic victory away from home in Glasgow. It was going to be difficult though. We had to take it back to the City ground, and that was only half the job done, but only half of the job, and you have to go ahead and finish the full job, and that is what we've done. Callum Doyle, a ball to the back stick, and Jadon is there again to head home to make it 2-0 aggregate before Jadon's then going to drive down the right hand side, find a ball into the box to Nicolo Trezeguet to make it 3-0, and we were looking like the better team of the night and the better team in the whole sort of competition at this point. Trezeguet then finds Elanga, who's going to go in, out, and then score an absolute screamer against Boyle in the top corner to make it 4-1. Jadon is then on the ball, it then gets cleared out to Haksabanovic, but they can't win that, and Trezeguet's there to make it 4-0 now, and then they're going to make it 4-1, but it doesn't matter. Deza Maida down the wing, he goes ahead, whips the ball in to the edge of the box, and Rio is there to make it 4-1. But that was all she wrote, and we were heading to the final of the Europa League, where we were facing up against Atletico Madrid, and we all know this is going to be difficult because we're playing up against the mastermind himself. It is the tactical genius, the defensive king, Simeone. Could we go ahead and break them down? Well, it was also played at the Stadium Feyenoord, and in 19 minutes we got off to a fantastic start with Luca Netz finding Elanga and a great ball to Nicolo, who finishes it past Oblak, and we get past that defensive style of play in 18 minutes. And it did take us a long time to go ahead and get a second, the 83rd, where Jadon finds the ball back to Joe Scally. You can see how many of us were in the box. We were attacking like absolute madmen, but that is all we wrote. A Europa League win, and Forest have won the Conference League and the Europa League and the FA Cup in 5 seasons from the Championship, and of course that means we have secured Champions League football as well. I can finally show you the league table. We finished on 68 points, and we're a point away from getting 5th place and finishing in the Champions League automatically anyway, but it does mean 6th place is enough because of that victory in the Europa League, and Forest are going to be in the Champions League for whenever you guys want to pick up on Patreon. So a massive dub for Forest fans, from the Championship to the Champions League. If you do get relegated, it's not all over. Just give me a call and I'll sort things out. Our superstars this season and really throughout the whole rebuild have been Nicolo Trezeguet with 26 and 10, Yildiz 21 and 6, Elanga 21 and 13, a real breakout season for him. Gula 18 and 19, Jadon Philibonje is now becoming a superstar, 11 and 12, James McAtee 11 and 4, Simon Adinkra 7 and 1, 5 and 12 for Joe Scally, and Ethan Mbappe with 4 goals and 8 assists. Did he make that French debut? No, sadly not. 25 caps for the under-21s, but cannot break in to that French national team. Now, in fact, his ability has been capped here at 2.5 star as a good championship player, but he's been pretty good for us in the Premier League. So if you want to use Ethan Mbappe, you certainly can in the championship, and he's an absolute bargain as well. He cost us just £1 million, and you have Mbappe in your team. It's not the one that's going to score you 100 goals a season, but he's going to keep the defenders, keep the defenders safe in that DM and screen everything and be simply brilliant. So Ethan Mbappe, up the Ethan Mbappe, fantastic, and we've done very well in this Forest rebuild, and he has helped us guide there. If you haven't seen any other rebuilds on the channel, there is loads to go ahead and pick through, whether it's cheap versus expensive or Moneyball. We do the whole lot, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, check out one of the videos, and I'll speak to you next time.